Hello and welcome to News 9 Facebook Live with me, Adarsh Vepachedu. Now, the COVID guidelines announced by the Health Ministry and respective state governments have become the new way of life in the country. Adherence to these very guidelines is what will shield us from the dreaded COVID-19. But it's when you have bizarre, unscientific guidelines that it becomes a burden for the common man. In the latest, the Bruhat Bengaluru Mahanagarapalige Commissioner Manjunath Prasad issued new guidelines for the citizens of Bengaluru when it comes to wearing masks. Now, here's why these guidelines are strange to say the least. The guidelines say that even if you're alone in your car and even if you have your car windows closed, you will still have to wear a mask, and the same applies to two-wheeler riders and pillion riders as well. Now, what comes as a surprise is that the Union Health Ministry clarified on the 3rd of September that it had not issued any such directions asking people to wear masks if they are driving alone in a car. Well, it's simple. If you don't have someone else in your car, where is the question of virus transmission? It takes a minimum of 2 people for the virus to jump from one person to another. That said, one wonders if there is some scientific basis for asking citizens to wear a mask if they are alone in the car. Discomfort is just one issue here. The actual problem starts when there is little to no awareness among the public regarding these new guidelines, as a result of which more and more solo car drivers will be caught unaware and will have to cough up fines. So how sensible is this guideline of wearing a mask even if you're alone in the car? How will the BBMP ensure that the citizens of Bengaluru are apprised of it? To share with us his views, we have with us the former BBMP Commissioner Anil Kumar joining us on the phone line. Many thanks, sir, for speaking to us. Please tell us what you make of this new guideline. Nowhere else in the country do you have such a guideline, and even the Health Ministry has clarified that it has not issued any such guideline. Would you have announced such a guideline as well?
First and foremost, I think what is more important for citizens to realize is that whatever guidelines are being issued by BBMP are in consonance with the Health Department guidelines as well as the Government of India guidelines.
Okay.
But I don't know, in this case, the BBMP may have, exceeded their brief by saying that even if a solo pillion, of course, in scooters you need to wear a mask because
that's
two-wheelers
understood.
you need to do that. But in a four-wheeler, if you're a solo driver and there's nobody else sitting along with you, then and the windows are closed, then I don't think there's a need for wearing mask per se. But with the moment you put your window down and you're interacting with somebody else, maybe a traffic policeman, or you're stopping to ask directions with somebody, then the question of your wearing a mask comes into play. So maybe I think when BBMP issued these guidelines, they were anticipating that even if the person is traveling solo, there would be some kind of interaction when they either get down or when they are interacting with people.
No, that is if the marshals are stopping everyone and everybody.
Probably, I think, why they have said that, yes, you must wear. So ultimately, I think what is more important is that citizens should realize that he should protect himself. It's more for his own protection as well as for the protection of the others on the road, that these kind of guidelines are issued, and it is in the interest of the citizen himself that he should follow these guidelines.
Okay. Mr. Anil, don't you feel with this very guideline, it will be a lot of cab drivers particularly who will be caught unaware and will end up paying fines? It seems as though the BBMP is forcing an error with this very guideline. What do you have to say about that?
No, I think there is enough, information about these guidelines which is being given out by both BBMP as well as the state government as to what are the do's and don'ts in terms of wearing masks and all that. We have been doing it right from March itself, when the first, COVID cases surfaced in the state. So I don't think that the average citizen is aware of everything which is happening and how the guidelines have changed over the period of 7-8 months. So I don't think that people are unaware of it. People are aware of it, but the point here is to be noted is that unless and until there is the fear of fines being levied on them, people just don't fall in line. You see the case of Bombay, you see the case of Chennai and various other places where we have seen people are least bothered about wearing masks. And that has, again, now we are seeing the second wave of COVID cases coming up. So in order to preempt that, I think it is required that we need to ensure not only that people are made aware of these guidelines and whatever other changes in the guidelines being issued should be made aware of, but also people should have that fear that if they don't follow the rules and regulations, they would be fined.
There certainly will be.
In their own
Mr. Anil, I'm sorry to interrupt you there. We understand where you're coming from. There are a certain bunch of guidelines and they have to be followed. And in case if they're not followed, there will be an imposition of fine. But we're just trying to question the veracity of the guideline, the sensibility behind this very guideline. There's also a constant word doing the rounds across social media that, the BBMP, the Bengaluru Traffic Police, they have certain targets to meet and hence they have their marshals and police officials spread across the city. So what do you have to say in response to such comments being made that there are targets that need to be achieved?
With respect to the targets which have been, floated around in the, social media and all that, what I have come to know is that the Commissioner BBMP has already clarified that what is intended is not to collect the fine. The idea basically is to ensure that everybody complies with the rule of wearing a mask when they are in a public space.
That's still sensible, but in a car when you're alone, why?
No, in a car, when you're alone, you need not wear it. But
Correct.
When you're interacting with another person when on the road, then you definitely would have to wear a mask.
Right. But still, my initial question still remains. I'm sure you wouldn't come up with a guideline such as this.
I would not like to comment on that. But yes,
all right.
But this is there's a thin line. It's a very thin line of how you say what is right, what is wrong. But what I feel is that for the citizen, for his own safety, I think it is better even if he wears when they are driving solo.
Okay. My last question, Mr. Anil Kumar, in addition to marshals and traffic police personnel who are enforcing coronavirus guidelines, the BBMP at this point in time has also formed ward level committees to monitor and enforce these very norms. What do you have to say about BBMP's progress in dealing with COVID-19, and if you have any expectations from the civic body? Also, your message to the viewers, please.
No, the involvement of the ward committees has always been there. Even earlier when the elected body was there in BBMP, we had formed these ward committees, and the ward committees were responsible for ensuring that the COVID-19 preventive measures are put in place and they are monitored. So I don't see, but now I think there is no elected body in place, and therefore it is the official bodies which are there at the ward level which will monitor this implementation of the various guidelines for preventing the spread of COVID-19.
And your expectations from the BBMP, do you feel that the civic body that you once served is lagging behind on maybe a few counts?
No, I don't think so. We have from BBMP side, from the day one, that is in March, when we found the first case of COVID-19, the BBMP has been all out, waging a war against COVID-19, and this is a pandemic which nobody has experienced earlier, right?
Okay. Yeah, that's
and
true.
it is something new for everybody.
Yep.
And the very fact that the pandemic itself and the way the virus is behaving from patient to patient or individual to individual is something different.
True.
So both from the health department side as well as from BBMP side, I think they are doing a wonderful job, and they have been doing a wonderful job, and they will continue to do so.
True, except for a few guidelines such as what we just discussed. Many thanks, Mr. Anil Kumar, for joining us and for sharing with us your insights on this new guideline that the current BBMP Commissioner, Mr. Manjunath Prasad, has given out. He said that even if you are traveling alone in a car and even if you have your windows closed, you will still have to wear a mask. One only hopes that the entire city is aware of this particular guideline and go ahead, sport your mask, because that's a guideline at this this point in time in case if you do not want to be fined. Do drop in your comments below and let us know as to what you think about this new guideline. Do you think in case if you're traveling alone in a car, should you be still wearing a mask? Because scientifically speaking, there's no second person around you, so there's no question of transmission, so to speak. So drop in your comments below as to what you feel about BBMP's new guideline pertaining to wearing of masks. And yes, if you've liked the information that we've shared with you, do not forget to like, share and subscribe to News 9 on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. Many thanks for joining us.